Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast made by Celtic fans all over the world for Celtic fans all over this great big world. From Carnoustie to California, Tayside to Taiwan. Wherever you happen to be watching from, you're very much part of A Celtic World. And where do we have represented tonight, apart from Malaysia? Well, we have Australia and Ireland. Paul in Australia, g'day.
G'day, mate. Yeah, good to be here. We're on the cusp of another long weekend. It's Anzac Day in Australia and New Zealand tomorrow, which is basically our version of, I guess, Remembrance Day. Yeah, we'll be having a few thoughts for the diggers tomorrow. But yeah, it means I've got tomorrow off and I've taken Monday as well. So another 4-day weekend, another 3-day week after Easter, a 3-day week next week as well. So yeah, all good. Off of my little hollybobs tomorrow, but delighted to be here today.
Happy days for you. Funny, I was just listening to Jim Owen, the Irish comedian who's massive in Australia, and he was talking about, the expression "lest we forget." He always thought it was "unless we forget," and he was saying like we must remember the fallen unless we forget. Which,
it doesn't really have the same gravitas, does it?
Quite funny. But speaking of gravitas, who's joining us all the way from Banbridge? It's none other than the character himself. It's Brian. Hello, Brian.
The character. It's been a long time since I've been called that. Unlike you, Paul, I've been off all week, so I'm living the dream.
Lucky boy.
Made the mistake of taking off all week. Yeah, we used to take the Easter week, which is somebody has it, the 30 job, and somebody has to do it, So just out and about and went to Cure tribute band on Saturday night, which was good crack. And yeah, just
let me see. Can we guess what the Cure tribute band was called?
The name?
We're not going to guess. Just tell us.
The Cured.
The Cure heads. And the guy he was an absolute double of them. And there was Susie and the Budgies in the backing band, and they were brilliant actually. The guy who's on the bass, he must have been about 60, but Jesus, he was unreal. But it's good out crack.
60's pretty young these days, Brian.
60, yeah, well, that's right. I'm trying to convince myself, 60's the new 40.
Totally. Is there a good suggestion by Craig Young for the name?
The Remedy.
Yeah,
very good.
A bit too subtle, I'd imagine, for many. All right. Well, what are we going to be talking about today, lads? Celtic's durable domestic dominance. What does that mean for the future? What possible futures lie ahead for Celtic? What's pie in the sky? What's most likely to happen? What do we want to happen? Oops. Secondly, we've got the title clincher, possibly, to preview. And another music reference here. We're going to do Mon the Hoopal. I don't know if you're familiar with Hoopal, are you? The word game. Wordle?
Oh, yeah.
It's Wordle, but Celtic related, not made by me, you'll be pleased to hear. So we won't be doing any of the say what you see pictograms. We'll have a live go at Hoopal. What's Mon the Hoopal a reference to, Brian?
Mott the Hoopal, all the young dudes, maybe. David Bowie wrote that it's a great tune. I think they one-hit wonders. There we go.
Well, they also hit. Well, let's stick with all the young dudes. You're right. Yeah, Bowie did write that from. Oh, and it sounds so like Bowie. I was sure it was Bowie when I heard it first. But that came out in 1970, before Bowie's sort of signature sound was kind of really apparent. So maybe he learnt a bit from the rendition of that. Who knows? But they also sang "Roll Away the Stone." You know that, which is quite topical, Paul.
Timely. I've forgotten
it. Timely?
Well, it's Easter, just after Easter, isn't it? So,
well, just checking. You remember your Bible stories?
I went enough catechism in my day. Long since left that at the gate. But yeah, I was bullied and indoctrinated as a child. So yeah, I've got enough awareness of the Easter story.
Okay. Alrighty then. Well, so let's talk about what's in the news. I know you all know that headline that everyone has dealt with about this. Sorry, Brendan, but this is going to be the most tedious treble of all time. And it is another treble, and the stats are crazy. And, we love winning them, of course. Win every trophy you compete in. Fantastic. But, it does sort of spark the debate. Are we too big for Scotland? Should Celtic be looking elsewhere, Paul? Let's get into that.
Well, the first time, the headline's obviously inflammatory, and if it's not written by one of the bitterest Orangemen you're ever going to find, I'd be very surprised. It's been a weird week for news. I feel like the title's not even confirmed yet, and the media are doing their best to sort of write it off, dampen it, make it as much of a downer as possible. We're all of a vintage where we've seen and dealt with enough negative years and really down years. We're never going to stop celebrating the good ones. It's not tedious for me. We've had another good season. It's not really our problem that other clubs, particularly the so-called rival, aren't at the level that they need to be competitive. There's always going to be a debate about this. When they ruined their finances and went into liquidation in Phoenix, that was kind of the end of the two horse race. That's not our problem. I can't see where else we're going to end up. The English Premier League is never going to happen. Turkeys don't vote for Christmas. There's enough teams in that league that are under pressure for staying in that league, and the Championship's probably the most competitive league on the planet, with plenty of big clubs. Leeds are just coming back up. Burnley coming back up. There's big clubs like Sheffield Wednesday that have been down there for years. They've been lower than that, and they've got there, and they've still not come back up. And there's plenty of teams that yo-yo in those leagues. Forest are having a great season, but they've been in the wilderness for decades. There's no team outside of maybe the top 3 or 4 clubs in that league that would vote for Celtic and potentially Rangers to join that league. So that's a non-starter for sure. There's some talk about, there's periodically been talk about Northern European leagues and the like. I see those as a non-starter as well. Most teams aren't going to leave their home leagues to go and do that. It's going to be as well as, and the football calendar's it's far too congested as it stands. So we're not going to add anything else in. It would mean opting out of the Champions League. And that, as we've seen this season, is absolutely where you want to be if you want to be considered a serious football club. So I think as it stands, we need to continue to qualify for Europe, Champions League, every opportunity possible. And then, continue to win in a domestic situation. And that hasn't been, let's just be clear, outside of the last, decade and a half, that's not really been a foregone conclusion. Even in the last, it's probably since 2012. So it's like 13 years, 14 years. That's the change. And that's their fault. It's got nothing to do with us. So unfortunately, or fortunately, like, we should be grateful. We've got a good run at it. That's now the situation. Like, it's going to take a freak circumstance like COVID for us not to win the league. And this investment stuff's back on as a more serious thing. There's been a bit of announcement in the last sort of 24, 48 hours. We'll see where that lands them. Careful for what you wish for. Like, I love winning trebles. And long may it continue.
Yeah. Brian, if it wasn't for the Champions League, would it be a different story? I mean, I understand what Paul's saying. It's great that we can keep qualifying for it, and you get in there, and that's where all the riches are. But can you imagine a future where, say, Scotland's coefficient just goes down the toilet, and we're qualifying for Europa if we're lucky, or worse? If it wasn't for the Champions League, would you be thinking of trying to engineer some sort of a departure?
Inclusion the title, SPFL, Scottish Premiership Football League. Celtic are from Scotland. End of story. It's not a story. It's like, I don't want us to morph into and Manchester United play Celtic Glasgow. You know, it's of no interest in it. I'm glad that we are where we are, and we don't have a sugar daddy effectively. We don't have money laundering money coming in, and we're a well-run, established club, stroke business, stroke organisation. We don't really care what others do. Others may be pretenders to the throne. Let them have a go. Let them get some sort of sugar daddy in. But as Paul says, careful what you wish for. You know, yeah, we may be like years away of the holy grail of winning the Champions League. But look how close Villa came. Look how close Arsenal are. And you know, on their day, okay, bar maybe Saka and Odegaard and Rice. You'd fancy Celtic that give it's like the old days. You know, Celtic's first 11 could maybe give them a bit of a game. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like 5-0 or 7-0. So the fan, and also they don't want us coming down. Could you imagine Rangers coming down, landing down in Manchester? The cops would be flipping. There's no way in God's earth. You know what I mean? And it would just, and then sometimes our guys could be, you just do it. It's just something we don't need. You saw what happened in the pre-season with Sunderland about 3 or 4 years ago. We went down there and at least Tommy Robinson, hangers honors, came about. We don't need it. We're happy enough where we are. And if people do, I like Paul. I want to win a treble every year for the rest of my days. I just want us but they're sitting at 118, and we're going to hopefully be 1-2-2 we go to trophies. Or 1-2-3, 1-2-1, something like that. Oh, there we go. UK Cup. Yeah, I would be up for something like that. I definitely would be up for. Used to do a thing called the Anglo-Scottish Cup years ago. You maybe had Hibs.
Cross-border cup.
Yeah, something like that.
The only thing about it is who gets in, how do you do it? It's more teams, one competition. You'd still probably have localized pre-qualifying before you got into the mix. It's potentially an idea, but I'm with you, Brian. Like, we're based in Scotland. We've kind of got a duty to continue to operate in Scotland because it is like, yeah, we're miles ahead, but the further we get ahead, the more money flows back into Scottish football from European games, ticket money. I see United are absolutely fleecing Celtic fans to go to the 3,372 or whatever it is they're letting in, are getting 40 quid a ticket and stuff. And local fans are getting in for a tenner in the home end. So we're more than chipping into the game. If we leave like Scottish football's in a real mess, a lot of Scottish fans outside of Celtic and Rangers say, oh yeah, then it becomes competitive. But the whole thing drops down because the interest sort of drops out of it from a global or broader level, TV wise, etc. To Gav's earlier point, though, if the Champions League does go away and it's Europa or maybe even Conference, the only thing that brings is less money, and therefore the quality of the squad will diminish. So as Celtic fans, we will see a worse product, and therefore by knock-on effect, the Scottish League will probably become more competitive. So if it's competitiveness you want, then poor showings in Europe and dropping back down, you'll get it. So I've got no interest in that. I want to see us stepping up. And unfortunately for the rest of Scottish football, if we continue to do well in our player trading model and continue to do well in Champions League, which will by virtue bring in the players that want to play at that level and use us as a stepping stone to bigger leagues and richer fortunes, then the gap is only going to get bigger. I think I read yesterday we made 16 million quid more than Rangers for our Champions League versus their Europa League, and they've gone quite deep. The gap will continue to widen. Our player trading model has been up and running for years and will continue to work well. And there's players stacked up there that, as and when they go, we'll get significant profits for. Jeremy Frimpong's still out there in the market, that ready to make us extra money whenever he moves on from
one of these years. We talk about this every year.
But my point is that will still happen at some point, unless he runs down his contract and goes for free, which is possible. But he's on a reasonably long contract at Leverkusen. The point is, we're, as Brian said, we're really well run and we're really well set up. And yeah, but things can turn quickly. We saw, the COVID season was an absolute disaster. This is a classic example for me of negative press trying to, diminish it. As somebody said in the comments, they weren't bothered when there was only one team winning for 9 years in the 90s, financially doped and all the rest of it. So funny how it's a problem now, and it's not even confirmed. We're talking about trebles. We've only won a League Cup so far. Okay, the league's a foregone conclusion. We're in the Scottish Cup final, but complacency can bite you on the backside. So I expect us to win a treble. We should be winning a treble. It's not a done deal yet. But I've got no. I don't think it's a reality to say we'll be anywhere else. Celtic aren't going to give up the Champions League, and you'd have to give up the Champions League to get anything else from a Northern European league. Equally, you're not going to step away from your domestic football, so you're going to have to do that as well as. I can't see any change. I think the thing that could work is potentially a cross-border cup. But as Brian says, that's littered with problems, particularly with our sort of political stance that we've got, and which I'm absolutely on board for, but there's so much little Englanders down there that would just twist that. You see the grief kneecap are getting in the States for making a few political statements at Coachella. It's the same stuff that we're going to get sort of hammered into. It's not really worth it. So yeah, I think we stay where we are. We continue to, I think what we should be doing is stuff like the McCowan deal. We should be getting Lennon Miller and paying fair value for that, because that's put money back in the game and allows smaller clubs to be stable and give them opportunity to grow and play other young players, which ultimately will be better for Scottish football, better for the Scottish national team, and Celtic can pick up the best of those and pay a fair fee when it comes through. So I think that's how we need to function.
I mean, I think it's really exciting, the fact Ayr United hopefully are going to come up. So you've got Scott Brown and you've got Lenny and Dunfermline. Okay, Dunfermline are coming up, but it's having these journalists in the Daily Record and all these, they're slagging off the thing that puts food in their mouths. You know what I mean? They should be embracing the fact and go, look, Celtic's won treble. This is a wonderful thing. Who can put a glove on them next season? That it should be, instead of just constantly belittling the product. I would rather.
Sure.
Well, Brian, you're absolutely spot on, but I don't expect anything from journalists, especially not in Scotland. But if the CEO of the game in Scotland can't big up the game and get a decent commercial deal in terms of TV money, which he's been incapable of doing for years, I can't believe he's still in a job, to be honest.
Yeah.
Then if Doncaster can't do that when he's supposed to be the person that's lauding our game, promoting our game, getting the best for our game, if he can't do it, you're not going to expect gutter journalists to do anything. So to be honest, it was a non-story all week, and I'm a bit surprised we spent as much time as we have on it.
Okay, well, let's move on to another non-story then. Paul, you mentioned that the league's a foregone conclusion, referencing your favorite band there. So it's a foregone conclusion, but also things can change, as you say, and there's all these other stories knocking about. And we just saw this one today, sort of indicating how quickly things can change if certain things were to happen, like Ali McCoist wants to see happen, like Brendan departing. Alan Brazil stuns with Brendan Rodgers' Celtic exit links. What about Brendan Rodgers at Leeds? He says Brendan's going to win the treble. He might think I've done it again. Do I want to move? Talking about the Tottenham job coming up as well. So again, these stories are going to start making the rounds now until Brendan's future is more clear.
Do you know what you do, Gav? You stop listening to the likes of TalkSport and gutter presses. Who's the snitch says? I don't listen to any shit that comes out. I learn more from you guys than I do from reading and Sky TV and any of that. They're just, gutter press, the Sun, the Star, a lot of them. They're all nothing to do with us.
All right. Well, we won't talk about it then.
Sorry for shutting that down.
You're right.
Fair enough.
It's clickbait. It's clickbait.
That's what it is.
Oh, I have to talk about something.
So
let's talk about the game that's coming up, shall we?
Let's talk about Celtic rather than nonsense stories in the press that's designed to spoil the party.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the party is possibly going to be occurring very soon. Tannadice. Let's not talk about negative stories like ticket pricing complaint, unless you want to, particularly. Anyone?
I've touched it on it already in terms of Celtic putting back more money back into Scottish football. Let's move on. We get milked everywhere we go.
All right. Who's going to start? Brian, you're in charge of picking the team. Brendan has called you up and said, I've been watching you in a Celtic World, son, and I love your tactical nous. So tell me who to start at Dundee United.
I would go with the exact same team that started the semi-final. End off, and that would be the team that I would go to for the rest of the season. Get the game won. Bring Jota. I just think Jamesy Forrest. It's another captain on the pitch. It's another leader and as much as I love Jota, I love the wee man. I love him. But we need to get this league won, and then we can start messing about. So I would go with exactly the same team and do the exact same subs and do everything. Start with Eid up front, Dyson out on the left, Jamesy on the right, and the rest of the team picks itself. Hatate. No, I would Engels maybe give Bernardo a run, but why would you change it? At this stage, it's sort of. But I would go back to the tried and tested, the guys that got us in the semi-final. Mute, Paul.
Gavin, it's unfortunate that Paul should disappear just now because this is the bit that we're about to discuss is the Engels Bernardo question. Because as we all know, Paul's a very big fan of Engels and is always singing his praises. And I was going to ask him, has the edge been dulled slightly by recent performances? And I want to pull up a tweet here and discuss it. But unfortunately, he's just legged it for some reason. Okay, let me pull it up anyway, and we'll discuss it, Brian.
Yeah.
Can you see this? It says, now the dust has settled after yesterday. Can we talk about how Engels produced another subpar performance? Total passenger. Can't think of one noteworthy thing he done. Sorry, but he needs to be miles better. The only reason he's getting picked every game is his price tag. That's a point worthy of discussion. Paul's back, but he's... Okay, Paul, you're with us. Hello, Paul.
I think I had some technical issues. Am I coming through okay?
Perfect.
You're very quiet to me.
Hang on, give me a second. Any good?
Okay, that's sounding slightly better. And then I put this up just to stimulate this next bit of the conversation here about Engels and Bernardo. And I just read the first bit, but the second bit here, he says, sort of referencing what Brian was talking about just now. Schlupp plays bad, dropped for Taylor. Trusty plays bad, dropped for Scales. Kuhn plays bad, dropped for Forrest or Yang. How is it that Engels keeps playing every game and Bernardo can't get a sniff? 100% because of his price tag. If he cost 3 million, he'd have been dropped a while ago. Paul.
I didn't think he played horrific on the weekend for a start. And I saw you and Callum having a debate on Monday about those cutbacks, for example. And I have to say I'm in agreement with Callum. He was cutting the ball back to a area that if he was not the player on the byline, if he was coming from a deeper line midfield position, that's exactly where he would have been. And there's a space there opening up. Somebody should have been running into that. It's a bit of a one-eyed view as far as I'm concerned. Engels hasn't been as bad as this character has suggested, and lots of people are saying. I'd go as far as to say he's been our most consistent midfielder this season. Carl was off it for ages. Hatate was off it for even longer. They've both come onto a game in the last few months, but in that first 2/3 of the season, Engels was a standout midfielder. Yes, he's dropped off a little bit, but he's a 21-year-old kid. I've just checked. He's played 49 games this season, outside, not including internationals. He's got 10 goals and 12 assists for Celtic. So he's played 49 games, club games. I think he played 3 or 4 for, is it Augsburg? He played for before.
Yeah.
And the difference he's played for us, so 40 odd games for us. He's got 10 goals and 12 assists, all for Celtic. As I say, he's made his Belgian debut. That's not included in the numbers. He's played over 50 games this season. Last year, he only played 33. He only got 3 goals and 5 assists, and there was no pressure on a Bundesliga side, middle to bottom. Now he's stepped up to a club playing Champions League football and asked to win every single week. And for the most part this season, he's been very good. So no, you don't drop him because he's been a consistent performer all season. Wingers are a bit in and out of form. You can't chop and change them. Your centre midfield, you want to keep that unit together. Bernardo's had injury problems. My understanding is he's not been snubbed. He's been worked back slowly because they're concerned about that injury. A lot of people talk about McCowan being a better player. He's absolutely not a better player. He might currently be better value at a million quid versus 11 for his contribution, but his majority of his contributions happens in the last 25 minutes when the game is, if not already won, then players are already tired. He offers something different. He's definitely more of an attacking midfielder. I think one of the issues with Engels is I don't think we know his best position. He played holding for Augsburg. He played wide, almost wide right. And he's asked to kind of play an 8 more attacking. People be comparing him to the likes of Tom Rogic, Matt O'Reilly. He's absolutely not that kind of player. He's much more of an athlete, dynamic. He's not that crafty, wily, skillful, but languid and maybe not as much of a grafter. He's much more of an old school box to box midfielder. He's definitely an athlete. His passing's good. His distribution's great. His quality from set pieces is undeniable, and he can score a penalty, which we've been sadly lacking. If I've got one, he's by no means a finished article, and Roger said that when he signed him, and one season in, he's not going to be the finished article. If you've got one sort of grumble, you would maybe say for his size, I think he's 6'2". He's probably not as physically strong on the ball as you need to be in Scottish football. But one season, you're not necessarily going to come to get to grips with that. He's not been used to that kind of physicality in Germany, because teams want to play football. They stand off you and they're not going to rumble you up at the same degree. I think he's been an absolute success. I think he will. I agree with the comments that we're flicking through there. He will. The proof in the pudding for him is next year, and I absolutely expect him to step up and be a major contributor. But I do think we probably miss, like, O'Reilly and Rogic. They're key players in the way our system works. Is a bit of a mercurial genius that pops up every now and again. Hatate's the closest we've got to that. And if we're being a little bit negative, there's a reasonably good chance he won't be there next season. So and Bernardo has been talked about I think Bernardo is capable of being a first team player, but if it's him, Cal and Engels, there's definitely a lack of creativity in that midfield. So you maybe rely on dynamic wingers like Kuhn and Jota a hell of a lot more than you would be in the current setup.
Yeah, I think he's been good overall. But Brian, would you put him into the same bag as, say, Trusty and Ida, in terms of it's all about next season? Then they have to prove themselves next season.
It's a squad game these days, and I agree with what Paul said about Bernardo coming back. He's being worked as well. He's being worked back. There's no, how can you bring somebody in who's played 1 or 2 games when that guy's been 50 games under his belt? So he's been there. He's been on the journey, and it'd be a real kick in the teeth that for Engels as a player, if Rodgers was to drop him for potentially the title winning game. So you want to have his guys out there who've helped him get across the line. But Ida, Trusty, two good additions to the squad. Engels is the main man. It's as Rodgers said, it was going to take him a year to settle in, and he has overachieved, considering he was coming in he wasn't coming in as a direct replacement for O'Reilly. But the guy's got quality. He's an athlete. He's big. He's could take set pieces. But going from playing 33 games a season to playing twice a week at the expectation level of playing for Celtic and playing in Europe and not having a bad game, it does take its toll on you. So I think it is very much a squad game now that Bernardo's back. that can maybe put a bit of pressure on Engels, but if there's nobody breathing down your neck, sometimes complacency would come in. But McGregor, everyone's been fantastic this season, but they will need support for next season and for the remaining few games. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a funny relationship with Engels because, Paul, I remember distinctly after his first 2 games, I said to you, is it too much of a stretch to say Engels is our best player? Because he looked so exciting and good. And you just thought, oh, he's going to bring so much. And I can't help but feel that he is flattered and deceived.
You're underwhelmed.
Yeah, I don't want to use that word, but
no, I know,
certainly
that's why I said
my expectations after 2 games were really high for him, and it's fair to say he hasn't lived up to those.
Well, I think the other thing is though, Matt O'Reilly came out like a steam train in the first couple of games. He scored in his debut, I think, and then he only came out in January, and he tailed off at the end in that second half of the season, and then he got better the following season, and he really kicked on in his last season under Rodgers, which they're different players. But the biggest difference between those 2 players is the fee they came for. Matt O'Reilly came from Milton Keynes Dons for 1.5 million with absolutely zero expectations. And I'm sure there've been tons of people on social media going, who the is this guy? We're spending Milton Keynes Dons 1.5 million. What are we doing? And then we spent 11 million on a talent. And some people going, oh, it's a project. Like, he's an 11 million project, right? He's a mid-table team in Germany. He's had to work under no pressure. He's a talented kid, but he's a work in progress. And I think I'm sure Rodgers will think he's developed under him this season, but there's still a way to go. And I would expect that to happen. He was brilliant against Bratislava, but as it turned out, they weren't that good a side. And he'll have been on that in that first 2, 3, 4 games. He'll have been on that, and he was great. He'll have been on that sort of boost of joining a new club, the excitement of a big club, and then momentum and energy and all of that will have just sort of taken him along. 50 plus games, long slog of a season. I think he's done great.
Yeah, there's a variety of views in the chat there. Some pro, some con. 21 years is not young for a player. We've got to stop saying that, according to Jezebel. Bad tackling, poor passing.
I think Engels is more value for money at 11 million than Ida is at 9. But I don't
think that's up for debate.
I think Ida was. Look at. We were dithering with payments and things like that, and we ended up having to buy him because with no one else. But Ida, again, another squad player for me, not the main man. But
the thing about Ida is, I don't think there's a single Celtic supporter that would have said we shouldn't have signed him after the 6 months he had.
Yeah.
January to the end of the season. There's no way we win a double without him. If we don't sign him, unless we sign somebody else that's equally good or better, if he doesn't come in at that window, there's no way we win a double. He scored crucial goals at crucial times, and obviously topped it off with the cup final winner. You absolutely, there's not a Celtic fan that wouldn't have signed him. Brian's spot on. We made it abundantly clear he was our top target. Norwich had a long contract. They didn't want to sell him on the cheap, and we blinked first because we'd made a commitment to the player. We made a commitment to the player.
It was the art of the deal.
That deal. We hadn't made it. We hadn't done a pre-contract. We were stuck with having to pay the money. But strikers aren't cheap. So I think he's a confidence player. I think Rodgers played a blinder, putting him in from the start and defending him how he did through the week. And he was repaid. His performance was night and day from the week before. I think, to be honest, if that incident hadn't happened and Rodgers hadn't decided to defend it how he did, I don't think Ida should be picked for that game at the weekend. But I think it happened. Rodgers decided, I'm going to back you. He's then probably had a conversation and said, look, I've come out and publicly put my balls on the line for you. You're going to get another chance, and I need a performance from you. Yeah. And he gave him it. And I cut off just as Brian was saying he would keep the team exactly as is. I absolutely agree. So would I. That would be 3 games in a row. There's 2 great performances, 5 goals in each game. Why wouldn't you start the same team? And I think strikers are confidence players. Ida's absolutely a confidence player. Give him another crack. Give him the service he needs. You get the ball in the box between the posts, Ida will score you goals. I've said it for all season. We didn't service Kyogo enough, and we haven't really serviced Ida enough when he's been on the pitch. But if you can get the ball into him, he'll get goals. And I would like to think we'll play the same team again. And if we do, I think we'll win comfortably.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me see. 36 minutes on the clock. Is it too early to be going over to Hoopal? I think it's a bit too early to be going over to Hoopal. In terms of purchases this season or people leaving, that's something to consider. If Hatate was to go, that you mentioned earlier, Paul, do you think Brendan will be in the market for someone with a bit of magic in his feet, as you were saying, someone who's likely to try and unlock defenses and do the unexpected? Is that going to be on his shopping list?
I think it's got to be. As much so, McCowan's really the only one who's got that little bit of vision and skill and like something to see to do a jink and try and open something up. But I think he's an exact player. People shouting for him to be ahead of Engels and the like is a perfect example of players getting better the longer they sit on the bench. He's had a good season. Don't get me wrong, he's a good season and he stepped up from Dundee. But what is he? He's 27, 28. Like, he's an experienced pro. You're laughing because I said 2 numbers always.
Yeah.
He's an experienced. Well, I don't know what he is. I think he's 27. So, but he's an experienced pro, and you would expect him to be able to hit the ground running to some degree. He's been playing in the Premier League a long time. But he's, people forget he's had some pretty average performances. He's had games where it looked like he was trying too hard and he couldn't string 2 passes together. So I think I do think if Hatate goes, people we're supposed to be very keen on Lennon Miller. And Lennon Miller is a very good player and he's got bags of potential. But I would see him as a replacement for somebody like Engels or even Callum McGregor as they move forward. I'd 100% get him in, but if only Hatate goes from the midfield this summer, I'd maybe buy Lennon and again loan him back to Motherwell for the season, and I'd be buying somebody else that's got, as you say, a bit of magic in the feet, a bit of creation.
Do you remember we were linked with a guy called Fabian Ryder several seasons ago?
Yeah,
it was Engels and Ryder. I would love us to go back. That's a Swiss midfielder. I think is he a winger or more creative? But he can hit a dead ball. I think he went to one of the lower German league teams for about 10 million. It'd be great if something like that could happen. But Switzerland international, yeah, he looked really good when he was playing. I think it was the last Euros for Switzerland. But
yeah, he got a few minutes off the bench, but yeah, I think we were priced out of that move. I can't remember who he went to. I think it is France, but I think we were absolutely priced out of that move, which is why we pivoted to Engels. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody we've been linked with before. In fact, I prefer if it's somebody we've never heard of. But yeah, I think we need to find somebody with a bit of that little sort of a spark and ability to drop the shoulder. And
I love the Iranian Turkish market, for they're very, very skillful players. Anyone who's from that kind of area, the Balkans, always 2-footed. Who was the wee guy that was played for Chelsea? Ziyech or something like that. He was Moroccan. I remember him his feet was fantastic. He had Egyptian players or Morocco or somewhere like that. But sorry, my dog's snowing.
Yeah, Egypt, Morocco, anywhere in the Balkans, really.
I think so. But you can pick. I'm just looking for the next Moravchik. That's me. But,
Yeah.
but
Egypt is a good market. It can be. Yeah,
Yeah.
you think Celtic could be hammering home their political advantage? We
Yeah.
talked about this before, didn't we, with all the support for the Palestinian cause and the outpouring of support that was directed towards Celtic from all across the sort of Muslim world, the Arab world. Should be leveraging that a bit and getting some of their quality players in.
The wee guy
I
that
mean,
came on for Aberdeen, didn't he once say that he would want to play for Celtic at one stage? Or am
mhm.
I whistling Dixie? I usually am whistling Dixie, but there was a
Can
player.
you whistle Dixie?
Can I
What does
whistle?
that mean? Whistling the song Dixieland?
Are you talking or whistling Dixie? It's like are you talking shite? Basically, it's
I know that's what it means, but does it mean
Balkanstan.
whistling the song like, "Oh, I wish I was in Dixie"?
That's
That
what I
song?
would imagine. It's shit or get off the pot.
Dear, oh
Uh,
dear.
Wordle,
Here's
Hoopal.
Maestro suggesting your geography needs to be brushed up, Brian.
I
Uh,
think my geography's all right.
all right then. Okay. Well, we're moving on from geography to today's English lesson. So, are you familiar with the game Hoopal? You two?
I'm familiar with Wordle.
I
Right.
am.
Okay. Well, these are six-letter words, and they're all Celtic related, like an ex-player or something like that, or something to do with Celtic. So this is going to be live. So don't know how it's going to go, but this is what it looks like.
Oh, very good.
And so I'm just going to put in a random word with lots of good letters in it, and we'll see how many of them are in it. Okay. Ooh, now what does this tell us? The green's in the right place, A's in the right place. There's an M and a T somewhere in it.
Mm.
So, and there's no S, no R, no E. Join in at home there if you want to, if you see anything you like.
Some of these will have done it already, though, I imagine. So let's not encourage them too
Oh,
much. Some
really?
of them might. Well, yeah, this has become reasonably popular, I think. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you've done it already, don't spoil everyone's fun in the
Okay.
comments.
don't be an arsehole.
Not you, Brent, but anyone in the comments, like if you know
Well,
what it is. So let's say it starts with a T and there's an M and the A is, or maybe it probably ends in AT.
well,
AT,
You think it does? Is that common?
possibly, and starts with an M. Put M in there.
Do you not
Must,
just actually?
what?
Do you actually just put fake words in until you find
Well, you
one
can
that?
put any word. Okay, let's put another word in then, which doesn't have the same letters as this.
Well, you want to keep the A, don't
Um,
you? Because otherwise it's daft.
GL. Well, just to see if there's more, to get more letters.
It'd be
Oh,
best to keep your A because otherwise it's just you do you.
come on, finish this word off. Lads, come on, keep the
this is a
energy up.
this is a great one for the ones listening on
I know. This is
on the podcast on their iPhones.
this is working a treat.
CLUNG and the E, even though we know the E isn't in there. Okay,
Oh,
UN and G and M. Look, we got a load here. Right, come on.
See, right,
It's
we've
got
got a lot,
it's
haven't
got
we?
an A there.
We've got everything. We've got
Well, we
6
don't have.
letters. We've got
Okay,
6
so what
letters.
must it be? Guntam or something? No. G. We're
It's
just
got
going
to
to put
make
these in
sense.
without. I know, but these are the letters we've got, right? A's in the
Yeah.
right place. Rearrange these letters to make it into like something Celtic related.
Bring back the Pix
okay.
quiz. Yeah, I would say so.
Right, right, Gav, it'll be M. The last will be MAN, so it's going to be something man, MAN. So the last letter will be N.
Tugman.
No,
Tugman.
give us a minute here.
Put Tugman. See what happens.
Gutman.
Tugman.
Gutman. Yeah, Gutman. It's Gutman.
Gutman, your man was on loan.
The
Yeah.
American fullback. The American
Andre
fullback.
Gutman.
Jesus, we got there
Oh
in the
my
end.
God, that's obscure.
Andre
Oh.
No, you
Gutman.
spelled it wrong. You spelled it wrong. This is not going to catch you on. Yeah, Gutman. There you go.
Wow, we did pretty well.
There we are. Got it. Brilliant.
Did pretty well. Today's Hoopal is Andrew Goodman. Celtic's just a fantastic club. It has such history on the biggest stages, Champions League. Andy
Jesus.
Goodman, 2019. That is an obscure one.
I would say that is a once time only feature. I can't see us. I can't see us bringing that back.
We got it in 3 though. That's pretty good.
Well, we could do that in the group chat. Like we were actually live to however many viewers we are. Like people going.
Is that not good telly?
It's shocking
Gav,
telly. Shocking telly.
You're bound to have an old wordle or not a wordle. No, say what you see.
Okay, let me see what we've
You're
got.
bound to have an
here.
old spare one. You'll have one spare.
Oh
Yeah,
no! Well, I've only got the 4 that I showed previously. But if you want to talk amongst yourselves, I'll find one. You two talk amongst yourselves there.
I think the audience at home are itching to bring back
say what you
catchphrase. See what you see. See, Mark Nisbet says he's unsubscribing. Don't do that, Mark.
Do you remember? I know you're a lot younger than me, Paul, but there used to be a thing. I know it's showing me age. Dave Lee Travis used to do snooker on the radio, but it was like questions and stuff like that. So somebody would have like a red question that would be, "What's the capital of Peru?" Lima. And then they would get, okay, well, you can have. You're on the green here, and it would be slightly harder and stuff like that. But I remember listening to it on the radio.
Why did they miss out? Why did they miss out the yellow? Why did they miss out the yellow?
No, just just the way it worked out. So they would go, like somebody breaks and they score a red, and then they can choose the color they want to go. So a lot of people would, if they went for black, it would be a really obscure one.
The chat's still talking about Andy Gutman, and McLaughlin P says there was 2 of them. I think the other one was called Perez. I might be wrong.
Manny Perez. Is that it?
Perez? Well, that sounds like a boxer, but maybe.
No, that's him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the chat will tell us if I'm pretty sure it was. Maybe it was Manny Perez. You might be right. It's definitely Perez, I think. But somebody will tell us in the comments.
Okay.
No doubt.
Right. Well, we've got a few.
Well, we're ready to roll.
Say what you sees. Here we go.
Bobby Lennox. Sorry.
is the right answer?
It's there.
Explain it to us, Brian.
Well, Lennox Lewis on the right, and that looks like a Bobby. A policeman, Robert Peel.
Oh, very good, Brian. Check it out.
I thought it would be Bobby Half Lennox.
Well, I couldn't make it too easy by showing all of Lennox Lewis, so I tried to make it a bit harder. But just tell me if you've got it, so we'll give the people at home some time to play along.
Sorry.
Say what you see if you're playing along back at home. Here we go. This is another catchphrase, Celtic catchphrase. Here we go. What's Mr. Chips doing? Nobody got it in the studio?
Jack won.
No, just think inside your head.
Oh God, I've got it.
This is a very poor.
Coconuts. Oh my God, Monty.
What do you mean by that?
The comment.
Paul, you don't have it?
I have it.
Nah.
No, Plunge McNugget. Brian has come in with the right answer. Victor, 1 yam.
Yeah.
Are they yams? Are they? Right.
Those are yams. Victor, 1 yam.
I thought yams were just pretty much sweet potatoes, but clearly not.
All right. And finally, play along at home. It's boring when all you do is talk about football, isn't it, Square Sausage? That's why you come here. You come here for the tangents.
Any clues with the guy on the right?
McLaughlin P straight
Big
in.
Yeah, Magnus
Oh,
Hedman. There you go.
Hedman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good. Very good.
Mark Nisbet gets it too. See, we're all on the same wavelength, you guys. Oh,
Oh,
all right.
difficult.
Well, that's enough of that silliness. So, anything else to talk about? 15 minutes. We've managed to stretch this out to. I saw this on social media. I thought this was quite amusing. Maybe we can discuss it. Tony Carroll saying, "How do I add to this when we do our 9th treble?" Because he's got his tattoo, the big 8. And what do you think of that?
Well, he's in trouble, isn't he?
And if he does a 9, he's going to be asking the same question next year, more than likely, or the year after. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How many more trebles are we going to win in the years ahead?
Well,
or are we worried about the 49ers?
I would like another 2 or 3 just this decade, for me.
That's what I was thinking. Strangelove, he should somehow turn that 8 into the sort of sign for infinity, if he could just always present it side on. It's infinite trebles. Oh, wait till it's 18 trebles. There you go. That's a good idea. That won't be too long. Yeah, well, the void of silence is catching up with us.
No,
Should we just wrap it up then? Or is there anything else we want to discuss?
I don't know what I missed when I was off, but I thought we'd have spent a wee bit more time on the game, to be honest. But
all right,
not.
Well, let's spend the 10 minutes on the game then before we wrap it. Well, we've talked about who we expect is going to play. What's the danger?
Well, the pitch will be crap, won't it? And United aren't a bad side. They're not a bad side. Just I think it's one of those. I think the danger for Celtic is losing the first goal. If we lose the first goal, then it could be a long old afternoon, and that's what we've seen. If we score early, or even what was it the other day, 34 minutes, then we probably push it pretty easily. But if the other team get if you get their noses in front, they'll make it a long and pretty difficult afternoon. They've still got stuff to play for. They've had a fantastic season, but Hibs have sort of pushed into third. They'll want to make sure that they can try and secure fourth. I don't know. I think we will win, and I think we probably will win reasonably comfortably. But yeah, we've got to protect ourselves against complacency, because we have been complacent. We've been poor. And I guess that's the other thing I would say. That's another thing I'd say about all this, it's tedious and trebles and all of that. Let's not forget we've had some pretty poor performances this season. We've not done well enough in the derbies. It's not a perfect season. It's not like there's nothing. It's not like we've steamrolled everyone. We've won. It's not the invincible season. So it's not even Rodgers' best performance. So I think we need to be. It is about mentality. Maestro 95 is absolutely spot on. We had good mentality in the last 2 games. We had shocking mentality in the game before that. So you'd think we had this close to the end of the line, a point does it. Yeah. Obviously, we don't want a point. We want 3. I think you've got to go out and actually stamp your authority on the game and try and win it. But United aren't going to be a pushover.
Yeah, I think McGregor, Forrest, and Dyson think 3-0, and I think we'll get the job done. And I've no worries about us at all. And I won't be happy until we beat them. We owe them. To me, winning the treble's great. That's don't get me wrong, that's fantastic. But we need to go turn up to their place and fucking do them. Excuse my French. Even a 1-0. We need to beat Rangers this season. That's for me. That's the style that, we've been shocking in the derbies. We need to come back and let them know we're the champions. And
we were great in the opener. We pumped them 3-0 at home, and that was a key part of that early part of the season where we sort of ran away with it. But you're right, we've been poor since.
Alpha's right here. We need to win for Jim Goodwin's son. Don't want to see him greeting. That's so funny that he's a Celtic fan, isn't it?
Well, he used to play for us. It's not that funny. It's not that much of a surprise, I guess.
Stephen Whittaker's son is a Celtic fan as well. Stephen, ex Norwich and Hibs.
All their sons will be Celtic fans. And grandsons.
Righty-ho. Well, we look forward to the game. Do we all think this is going to be it? This is the day when we clinch it? Are we confident?
Absolutely, I think so. But I think it's quite weird that it's quite weird that they've left the door open for if somehow we slip up, then the next game is at Ibrox in a decider. Like, I just think that's a bit weird that they left it that close. I thought they would be game 3, so that it was almost impossible that it would be a decider. But obviously, I don't know who I haven't checked. I care so little about their fixtures. I haven't checked, but I can only presume that the powers that be felt that even if we didn't win our game, they would slip up and drop enough points that we would win anyway. So, yeah, I think it'll be done and dusted.
Just checking what time the game's on.
It's 12 or 12:30.
12:30.
Yeah, 7:30 our time, Paul.
Yeah, perfect.
7:30 on Saturday. Yeah, that's great. Have I considered an opera-style song? Says Square Sausage Mick. I mean, come on. I think you know the answer to that question. That would not sound good.
But that suggests that other songs do sound good. So,
well, some of them sound passable.
Where's the discrepancy? I just checked. The Hot Crossers are off to Paisley on the weekend. So, not that I expect us to slip up, but even if not, do we think they've got enough to get past it? Possibly not.
Just down the road from them. I found myself when I was in Glasgow going to Paisley Road West to a restaurant because one of our taxi drivers recommended the best Lebanese restaurant in Glasgow was Beirut Star. So we jumped in the cab, said, "Take us to Beirut Star, please." And it's like right beside Ibrox, pretty much. It's very close. And it was fantastic food, lovely food. I was slightly concerned because I was going in my big green raincoat, which is a bit sort of Green Brigade-y. But just in case, we walked in there and it was full of people eating falafels and wearing blue tops, but it wasn't that at all.
Seems off brand for them, though.
Yeah, the food was absolutely superb, though. Beirut Star for anyone who's living in Glasgow, based there.
And what did you get, Gav? Reveal all.
We just got a big smorgasbord of, the breads and hummus and baba ganoush and all that. I don't do the lamb
or is it more like a meze?
Yeah, like a meze. That's more like it. Very good. My geographical knowledge isn't great from calling that a smorgasbord.
Bit of karma come back there, I would say.
Dovin's full of Tims now. A couple of people saying that. Look, of course, our very own Kaiser just round the corner from there.
Indeed.
Yeah, but I recommend it. Do you like Lebanese food, lads?
I do indeed.
Or like Arabic grub? That's one thing I wish we had here.
Middle Eastern, yeah, absolutely. The baba ganoush. You gotta love a bit of the baba ganoush.
Yeah, the smoky baba ganoush. All right, on that note, the only Celtic podcast that ends up with the smoky baba ganoush. That's for sure.
What is baba ganoush?
What is baba ganoush? It's paste made from sort of burnt aubergine.
Smoky burned aubergine. Yeah. Delicious.
Absolutely
get the
gorgeous.
Flatbread, dip it in it, on you go. That and the hummus. That's the two you go for.
Satsiki. Taramasalata. There's another one. Right. And on that note,
Square sausage. Some player, Baba Ganoush, think he's from the Balkans.
yeah, indeed. Get him
Nice
signed.
little callback. All right,
Absolutely.
lads. Take it easy. We'll be back on Monday to discuss whether we're champions or not. So there may be champagne corks a popping, or whatever the alternative to that is. So thank you very much, everyone, in the comments, as always. Hope you enjoyed that fantastic show John Clements did.
And
Lads. Hail, hail to yous all. Hail, hail, legends. You're the real legends. Couldn't do it without you. Cheerio, who's the snitch? And everyone. Until Monday, hail, hail.
Hail, hail.